Kevin Shaw is the director behind the documentary One Golden Summer, opening the Chicago International Film Festival. Kevin, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Rudy. I appreciate.
It is an awesome opportunity because a documentary doesn't normally open up this festival. And also, you've got three screenings. Standby tickets only available at two out of the three of them so far. We got the Music Box on the 15th, the 18th at the Chicago History Museum, and the 26th at the Logan Center for the Arts. I mean, congratulations. I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah, I just really don't have any words for it. We do have tickets available for that Saturday afternoon screening at the Chicago History Museum at 2 p.m. And the other two are standby only right now. And I don't think anybody really expected that level of interest. We knew people would be interested in the film, but that level of interest, knowing how many seats there are in all those facilities, just really speaks volumes. So we're really excited about each screening.
Yeah, I mean, especially, if you were in Chicago in 2014, you saw the story go from heartwarming to heartbreaking real fast. And I think people have followed the story. It's always one of those stories that has been in people's hearts. And now we get to see an update.
Yeah, well, not only am I from Chicago and lived that experience with so many other Chicagoans. At the time, I was actually working for ESPN, so I was there at Williamsport, and I got to see it live there as all those events were unfolding. So had a lot of pride, like many of my Chicagoans, watching the Jackie Robinson West team win that U.S. championship there in the Little League World Series, and certainly was very heartbroken and confused when the title was stripped from them by Little League International. So I think a lot of people, along with myself, had that question of whatever happened to those kids who are now young men. And I think that's really the driving force as to why we wanted to produce this documentary.
And we get to see all sides of the story because obviously there's not one linear line from this is the truth, here's what happened. Is that there's a lot of pieces to it, and you interviewed people from both sides of kind of where this is all coming from. Talk a little bit about what we're going to see in the film.
Yeah, I think you're really going to get an opportunity to experience that joy and that adrenaline rush that we all had, not only just Chicagoans but the nation. When we watched the young men from Jackie Robinson West compete in the Little League World Series and win that U.S. championship and have that kind of pep rally that's only reserved for the Chicago Bulls or the Chicago Blackhawks, really galvanized the city and really helped build bridges throughout the city. And a lot of people around the nation really took to their story. So you're gonna experience all of that, and then you're gonna start to understand, well, what happened. What was the controversy, who was behind it, who were the people that brought it back to light, brought it to light, and what were the consequences from all of the situations that evolved from it. So I think you're going to really get the whole gambit of emotions. You're going to feel joy in that first half, and that second half, you're going to feel that heartbreak all over again, the confusion. But you might come to some understandings as to why and what happened. And I think your perceptions also of not necessarily who's to blame, but how people were portrayed throughout the entire experience might be challenged. And I feel that, like, if you bring an open heart to the film in that way, you're going to be rewarded.
I mean, because I think they had so many highs and so many lows. Obviously, getting to meet President Obama at the time, getting to be a part of the barbershop films. I mean, just the pride that they had in the city, and then having to kind of deal with this, as kids, and having to go through that, alone in school, in their communities, whether they continued with baseball or not. I mean, it was just one of those things that you really see that developmental part from like elementary school to high school to where they are as young men, and how this either affected them, didn't affect them, or how they kind of look back at that period of time in their lives.
Yeah, because I think when you're a 12 or 13-year-old and you have on one end so many people loving you for the success that you had as a young athlete and giving you ticker tape parades and presenting opportunities that not many of us are going to have, in regards to meeting the president and being in the Oval Office and that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden to have that flip that switch flip on you and have a lot of people deriding you and deriding your character and calling you names and really attacking you. And as a young kid, you might not understand where is all this vitriol coming from all of a sudden. So I think it took many years for a lot of the guys to process that, to understand, where some of these feelings were coming from. And unfortunately, they had to mature on the public stage there. And at each stop, as they were maturing, through high school and then into college, and while many of them were pursuing their baseball careers, it would always come back, to this Jackie Robinson West experience and to what most people would think of and think of the negative things about it. But I think the film really champions their resilience and the brotherhood that they maintained during the entire experience.
Talk a little bit about reaching out to them and telling them, this is a story that we want to create. And I know, Bob Title also had a part in that, as well too. But hearing that you wanted not just to hear, how they were before, but also to check in on them and see their journeys. I mean, what was the boys' reactions and also, their families?
Yeah, we asked every one of the members of the team or the former members of the team to participate if they wanted to participate. And we had several of them, respond positively that they did want to take part. I think the people that are in the film are kind of like the spokespeople for the entire team. That team, those guys are still very close today. And so, very excited to have the group that we had involved in the team participate in the film. You talked about the origins of this with Bob Title, the producer of the film. We know him from the barbershop movies and Soul Food, and he's a Chicagoan as well, Columbia College alum. And he had wanted to make a narrative film about the whole experience and had kept in contact with the guys. They did a cameo in Barbershop 3. And so that's really where he had built that relationship with them and flipped the script there and kind of pivoted once all the controversy started and said, well, I should still try to do a documentary about this, because he had noticed that brotherhood that I had mentioned before that was there with the guys and the families. And that was an important thing to try to document and see what was going on with their lives at this point.
And obviously, on the flip side, Chris Janes, who was one of the coaches on one of the other teams, his involvement, maybe was not exactly what we thought it was, or maybe people didn't realize that he didn't play necessarily a part all the way through the end. But this also affecting him in that way as well too, and having him be a part of the film and sharing his story as well.
I was very happy that Chris Janes participated in the movie and trusted me and our team to give him a fair opportunity to present his side of his story without any judgment. I think it's very easy for people to sit here and try to cast blame and try to, put a label of who's the villain of this particular story. And it's just so hard to do. It's not really the right way to do. The things are so nuanced. And life is messy, as we all know. And so to give somebody like that an opportunity to kind of tell things from his point of view, again, I think it might challenge people's perception of who he was and who he is based off of all of the media coverage that was out there about him. And yeah, he went through some personal things as well, which were very challenging, which I think was going to shed some light and present some pieces of the puzzle that people weren't aware of before. And again, might question their perceptions of how they view him and view this whole story in its entirety.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, wholly, completely different conversation as far as whistleblowers and people thinking they're going to say something and not realizing how things could snowball into something way bigger than they even imagined that would happen.
There's no question. I don't think that he thought that this would snowball into the whole media sensation that it became a national story or what have you. And he certainly had motivations that he was trying to protect his community. The quick story was that Evergreen Clark had played Jackie Robinson West in one of the divisional games, and Jackie Robinson West had beat them very handedly. And so there was this talk of, well, is this sour grapes? Is this where this is all coming from. And, you know, whether you believe that or not, the actions by Chris were made in terms of the inquiries that, you know, were then taken up by a local reporter. And it was really that local reporter's reporting there and journalism that he did that really blew the story out into the national landscape and made Little League International take a second look after they had already though cleared the Jackie Robinson West team from any wrongdoing. You know, I think those are little tidbits of the story that didn't get out there a lot when the media
Yeah.
was first covering this, how Little League and what was their capability and their accountability and how they handled this entire situation. And so the movie sheds some light on that regard as well.
And then final thing here, any of the guys going to be? I know you're going to be at all the three screenings. Are they going to be joining you? And what was their initial reaction to seeing their story? Maybe the first time you showed it to them.
Yeah, a lot of the guys are going to be there at our opening night screening. Wednesday at the Music Box Theater. All the guys that are in the film are going to be there for that one. We're going to have some of the guys show up at the other screenings as well, based on their schedules and everything. So really excited to have them and their families there, especially for the opening night screening. And I think their initial reaction when they saw the film privately, we had a private friends and family screening. They just felt heard and seen, you know, and I feel like they felt like their story had finally been told in its entirety. And they were very gracious in that regard because I believe they didn't feel like they were able to really give their point of view and their whole experiences out in the first time when this story was out with the media. But this film gave them that opportunity, and they felt really, really good about it.
Well, I think not just them, but I think Chicagoans, people, film festival lovers, also feel that same kind of love because you got three screenings. Definitely go check it out. Music Box on the 15th, opening night, the 18th at the Chicago History Museum, and the 26th at the Logan Center for the Arts. The 18th has some limited tickets left. There's standby tickets for the other two screenings, so make sure to either to get yourself down to the theater to hopefully snag one of those tickets, or go on the 18th as well too. ChicagoFilmFestival.com for tickets and details on all the films. October 15th through the 26th. Kevin, congratulations, and thank you so much for your time today.
Hey, Rudy, I appreciate it again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.